11:52 p.m. The rooftop restaurant holds the city like a steady breath. Stemware, a low-string track from the speakers, a halo of candlelight over bronzed cutlery. According to the service log, the Harrington party is seated at table 12, east corner. 6 polished plates, 2 phones face down, 1 bottle of Burgundy, and a silver cradle that glints like a second moon. A server, in a black tie, approaches. Name tag, Luis. White shirt with a careful press, sleeves rolled to the regulation point below the elbow. Witnesses at neighboring tables later reported the first laugh didn't explode. It leaked slowly, like air leaving a tire, from the table of suits as he set down the amuse-bouche. Truffle foam? One of the men repeats to his friends, brows folded in fake confusion. Froth? Like shampoo? Another mimics a pour with exaggerated wrist flare. The laughter is quiet, pointed. The camera on a nearby phone catches 2 smirks and 1 grin hiding behind a napkin. "I'll introduce the tasting in just a moment," Luis says. He doesn't add "sir" because the training manual, according to the staff memo posted last Monday, recommends neutral terms. He adjusts the cradle, thumbs the neck of the bottle, tilts for approval. The man at the head raises a palm. No showmanship, just pour. The voice is clipped. East Coast Finishing School. Cole Harrington, 33, as later identified by a guest with a good memory for niches and names. His phone has a hairline crack like lightning down the corner, skin taut over a jaw that mistakes tension for strength, the sort whose watch glitters like a dare. Luis breathes. He pours. The trickle lands true. He names the vintage. He pronounces the domain correctly. A chuckle ripples anyway. "At least he tried," someone at the table murmurs into their collar. At 8:01, according to the hostess stand camera, an older man steps from the glass elevator. Silver hair neatly cut, neat wool blazer over a cream shirt, a cane of carved walnut, small hearing devices curve behind both ears. He pauses. The automatic doors sigh and close behind him. People look up, some lean back to make way. Cole lifts a hand, half greeting, half warding off. "Dad," he says, and glances past him, as if expecting an interpreter to follow. No one does. Luis clocks the small blue hazard card clipped to the pocket of the older man's blazer, the universal sign for communication assistance needed. He steps forward. The manager, Elena, watches from the pass, lips pressed thin. Luis meets the older man's eyes. He doesn't touch. He raises his hands where the light is soft and slow and signs, "Good evening, welcome, my name is Luis." The table freezes. A phone stops mid-scroll. One of the suits whispers, "He's doing a bit." The laughter that follows is thin and wired. The older man's gaze lifts. He watches Luis's hands. He answers in clean, contained movements. "Thanks. Arthur, the name. Please? Seat?" No one at the table makes a sound. The city does. A bus brakes on the boulevard far below. The air conditioner exhales. Luis pulls the chair and taps the table gently. A visible cue. He sets down a small notepad and a pen as backup. Arthur nods, slides in, sits with the patience of someone who has learned to earn each movement. Witnesses will later say the most remarkable sound is the absence of derision, replaced by the friction of a public recalibration. The footage will show hands, brown, careful hands, speaking without a voice to a man who has been waiting all evening to be asked. According to the opening slate of this channel, this story is a work of fiction. All characters and events are imaginary. Like and subscribe for more stories that challenge prejudice and celebrate courage. The reservation page on the restaurant system shows Harrington Capital, 6 guests marked VIP, note appended at 11:42 a.m. Guest of honor prefers low-sodium options, hearing impaired, ensure written menus available. The note is signed by Elena Rios, restaurant manager. At 12:03 p.m., a follow-up. Party will arrive staggered, no interpreter requested. According to staff who prepped the private corner that afternoon, the request wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the pushback. "We don't need the cards," a voice on speaker said when Elena offered quick printed menus with simple descriptors. "We're not a hospital." The voice matched Cole's later on the patio. Same clipped efficiency, same impatience in the vowels. Luis's name appears on the floor plan next to table 12, the prime assignment. Coworkers say he earns it, cuts straight lines with a tray, never rushes, knows wine without turning it into a quiz show. "He's quiet," says Marco from Barback, "but you know he sees everything." In staff chat logs from last winter, there's a link to an ASL class at the community center. Luis's reaction emoji, thumbs up, then a hand sign. Kitchen tickets begin to flutter at 7:20 p.m. Oysters, celery foam, house bread, heirloom carrots, cumin yogurt, wild halibut, lemon rind oil, dry-aged tenderloin, charred leeks. A note from Cole appears on the chit. "Chef's choice for Dad, he's easy." The low-sodium tag in the system remains on screen, blinking, ungreeted. It's not an allergy, Chef Maria says later, perched on a milk crate behind the walk-in. But it matters like one. You don't ignore a doctor's note just because you can't see the rash. She had placed a post-it on the expo line. No added salt on one plate. I saw it go missing, she adds, frowning. Not accidentally. Inside the dining room, laughter arrives early. You from here? One man asks Luis, tilting a head not because he cares, but because he learned the posture plays thoughtful. When Luis says, Echo Park, the man smirks. Heard the coffee's good there. Shame about the rent. Luis nods, neutral. He swallows the last syllable of his next sentence because it's the only one he can control. He steps back from the small heat of their attention, glances toward the elevator to watch for Arthur. At 7:59, Elena's hand moves to the radio on her belt. He's in the elevator, she says. All right, team, eyes up. Silence has a texture when it arrives. It isn't nothing. It's soft and freighted. The elevator opens. Luis steps forward because waiting makes the first ask heavier. No need for a microphone. He has his hands. Could you read lips? One of the men asks Arthur out loud, already reaching to speak over him. Luis shakes his head gently, not to scold, but to break the target of the question into two safer pieces. He signs again. The older man's face loosens. He answers. The two of them establish a rhythm as clean and functional as knife and board. According to guests at other tables, the laughter doesn't have room anymore. The mood shifts in increments, spectating, then wondering, then a realization like an elevator arriving. The notepad in Arthur's hand is utilitarian hotel stationery. Thin, edges cut by a machine that doesn't miss. In thick block letters, he writes, low salt, no garlic. He underlines twice. Luis reads, nods, and writes back in slightly loopy penmanship. Chef can do halibut, lemon oil, no salt. Sound good? Then in the air, he signs, slower to be clear. Any other preference here? Arthur taps the page and writes, thank you. No one asked me. He looks up, eyes measuring the room, mouth closed, the kind of composure used like a shield. Luis shakes his head once, gentle disagreement, and signs. Tonight, I ask. He rests the notepad on the table like a contract. Cole leans in, elbows wide. Dad likes steak, he announces to the table, as if Arthur is a static photo, a father as idea, but not present participant. He slides a hand toward the menu and narrows his eyes at Luis. He'll have the tenderloin. Luis points to the low-sodium note printed in red bold letters beside the reservation name. He taps it twice. He doesn't need to be louder. He needs to be visible. He signs to Arthur. There is a salt note on your reservation. We can cook steak without salt, but halibut is better. Shall I bring halibut? Arthur's mouth curves, the smallest yes. He nods. He signs back, yes, halibut. Cole's smile has no joy in it. He doesn't know what he wants. He never does. We've handled this for years, he says, then glances at the others to confirm the fiction. One man laughs obediently. Sir, I'm happy to follow the guest's choice, Luis says. We have a low-sodium preparation ready. He keeps his tone level. According to a server at table 8, he didn't blink. A different man at table 12 whispers, is he going to do this all night? The whisper isn't as quiet as he thinks. Whispers never are. Elena's hand appears at the boundary. Managers learn the exact frame of a scene and stand just outside it. Everything all right? She asks, neutral as a cork. Your staff is freelancing, Cole says. This is a premium seating, not a charity demonstration. We don't need this. He makes an unformed shape with his hand, not a sign in any language. Luis holds Arthur's gaze. He signs, I'll bring your fish. Do you need anything else? Water? Different chair? Arthur writes, water. Thank you, Luis. Then, how long did you learn? Luis signs, sister, 3 years. He keeps it simple. Concept over grammar when nerves are high. He adds a small shrug that says, it's not perfect, it's what I have. Witnesses later note Arthur's laugh, the first soft one of the night, barely a breath. That sound isn't in the videos, it is in the memory of the tables nearby. 8:19 p.m. The halibut hits the pan. On the ticket, a bold line, no salt. In the hallway, a glass shatters, the only sharp noise in an otherwise careful service. The barback curses softly. In the private corner, Cole's phone face lights up and dies again and again, notifications that never wait politely. He leans back and says, friendly as freezer light, where do you people learn to insert yourselves? Your staff. The word staff comes out like a category that ends the thinking. I'm following your reservation notes, Luis says. He doesn't apologize. Protocol doesn't require apology for right action. He sets a paper menu with highlighted low-sodium options in front of Arthur, and then one in front of Cole, the latter an offer as much as a boundary. Cole pushes it aside with his ring finger. Somebody at the table arches an eyebrow, as if the performance is boring now that the audience won't clap on cue. Elena reappears, a manager's smile on. "Mr. Harrington," she says, "we're thrilled to have you. If there's anything we can do—" "Yes," Cole interrupts. "Get your guy to stop the mime show. Dad is fine. He reads lips when he needs to." He looks at Arthur, but not to him. It's the difference between window shopping and buying. Arthur, who has been reading the shapes of mouths for decades as a second-choice skill, lets the manager's face fall into focus. He shakes his head. He signs in crisp, economical shapes. "I prefer sign. The paper will help. Thank you." He offers Elena the smallest smile to gather her into the humanity of the exchange. Elena swallows. "Of course," she says to Luis. Her eyes flick to his tie, straight still. "Proceed." There is both support and fear in that one word. Staff later report the owner doesn't like scenes. The frown that follows Elena to the pass is an owner-shaped shadow. Luis lifts the tray, sets down water, then gestures to his lips, visible cue, and signs, "I will be back." He does not step quickly. He gives the moment weight. He moves with the knowledge that speed can be mistaken for guilt. "You don't need to pander," Cole calls after him, voice low, a man confident that architecture will cushion sharp edges. A woman at the table touches his sleeve and says, "Cole," a warning that's more about optics than ethics. The halibut arrives at 8:33. The plate is pale, lemon oil painting a thin gloss. No salt crystals glitter like snow. Luis places it before Arthur, then steps back. He waits for the nod. He gets it. Cole leans his fork into a steak he ordered, salted, seared, glossed with butter. He stares at Luis. "My father built factories with his hands," he says to no one in particular. He didn't need special menus. Arthur taps the notepad. He unfolds a pen and writes, "Hands build, hands speak." He leaves it where his son could read it if he wanted. The table does not pick up the paper. According to internal emails from that afternoon, Elena had flagged the Harrington booking as sensitive. The owner's reply, "Do not lose them." In the office, above the printer, a framed photo of the grand opening catches Elena's eye each time she prints a comp. The paper cutter still smells faintly of scorched toner. At 8:40, Chef Maria slides a plate toward the pass and calls, "Halibut, no salt," and then leans into the heat of the lamps. "Did they give you grief?" she asks when Luis steps to grab the plate. "They laughed," he says. He folds a napkin, tucks a corner, then adds, "Not at the food." Maria has more words, she always does, but service is a machine in motion. She goes with the one she needs. "We got you." She taps the next ticket, pushes a spoon into a sauce, and gets back to the iron ballet. In the office, Elena opens a new email. "VIP service." Her fingers hover, she deletes and rewrites the subject, "Service note tonight." She types, then stops, listens. Through the thin door, dining room noise swells and recedes like a living tide. She can hear most conflicts from here. Edge of anger, edge of awe. This one is quiet. That can be worse. She steps out into the partial darkness of the hallway, then takes one step back when she sees Cole at the corner of the private area, head turned toward the staff corridor, listening for a line he can cross. "You're Elena?" he asks when he spots her. "Look, we support these places. We bring clients. Don't let a busboy set policy." "Server," she says. "Weiss." Cole smirks. "Sure." He presses two fingers to his temple, performs a sigh like a brand. He's making a scene. He says it like fact, the way storm clouds say gray and more gray. Elena's mouth opens, closes. Staff later recalls she inhaled like a swimmer right before a long stretch underwater. "He's communicating with your dad," she says finally. "We printed supports. We can bring in an interpreter if you'd like. The city maintains an emergency roster." "We're not doing outreach," Cole says. He glances at Arthur. His look lands beside the man and does not revise course. "We're doing dinner. If your waiter needs to feel heroic, he can do it on his own time." He turns away before the last sentence finishes. That's a tactic too. Elena watches him go, then steps nearer to table 12 anyway. She needs a count. Plates, water levels, facial tension. She notes Arthur's posture, upright but at ease now, and Luis's hands moving in small arcs. She decides to trust the service manual that has never failed her in all the rooms she's managed. Listen to your guest. At 8:51, a guest at table 10, Jay Park, an architect with a gift for framing light, pulls a phone from a jacket pocket. The camera opens with a mild squeak, almost an apology, then locks onto a shot. Luis's hands, the older man's face, the low hum of a city. He does not pan to the snickering faces. He holds the quiet front of what matters. He isn't sure if he'll post it. He wants to remember. In the frame, Luis signs, "Do you need anything else?" Arthur signs, "Water." Then he adds, after a moment, "Thank you for seeing me. The words are plain in sign and plainer on the notepad when he writes them. The pen bleeds through the thin paper. One of the suits says something off camera. Jay's mic catches tone, but not words. Cole's voice follows, clear. Enough. Eat. He's talking to his father like a floor that creaks. Arthur looks up from the plate. He signs to his son, slow enough that even a beginner can catch one at least, respect. He adds a small palm-toward look that any child anywhere reads as an ask. Cole's eyes flick away, then back, then away for good. At 9:03, the check drops at table 5. Someone recognizes Cole. 2 words pass like a weather update. Harrington, billionaire. Phones move from pockets to fists held down near knees. At 9:12, Elena's email in the office pings with a new line from the owner. Please avoid social media moments tonight. She doesn't laugh. She doesn't cry. She steadies amusement, that dangerous emotion, in the pit of her stomach. She turns the monitor off and walks back to the floor. At 9:17, Jay's video goes up. Private link sent to one friend with a note. This felt important. The friend replies with an emoji, a mouth zipped shut, and a link to a page for a disability rights nonprofit. At 9:24, another diner posts a still. The older man's hand palm open, the waiter's hand palm open, a mirror. The caption, language is a bridge. It gathers 160 likes in the first 20 minutes. A server at table 2 scrolls during side work and swallows a small victory she can't name. She washes a glass and lets the water run 1 second longer than needed. The bill lands in a leather holder with a zip of the manager's pen. The total, heavy, the line for tip, a waiting space where values make themselves plain. Cole reaches for the check with the reflex of someone who has always gotten to the paper first. Arthur touches his forearm, light enough to be refused. He points to himself, then signs, mine. Cole frowns as if asked to admit color on a grayscale screen. He wants to pay, Louise says calmly, placing a pen on the leather fold. He doesn't interpret beyond what's clear. That's a table commandment. Cole lifts the pen. Put it on the company, he says, not looking up. Arthur shakes his head once. He lifts the pen from Cole's fingers, not with speed, but with finality. He writes in careful block letters, separate. Then underneath, as if writing the title of a book he wants someone to find. For staff. Luis doesn't touch the paper until Arthur lifts his hand. He reads, then looks to Elena. We can split it, he says softly. We can, Elena answers, voice steady. She steps to the POS screen like it's an altar and types in 2 lines. She prints the twin copies, left hand, right hand. Her knuckles whiten, then ease. She can do this part of her job without permission. Arthur lifts the pen. On the tip line of his copy, he writes a number that draws in air. $10,000. The numbers sit on the page with theatrical stillness. Then he writes, for ASL training for staff, contact me. He slides the slip across, turns to Luis, and taps the name on the bottom, Arthur Harrington. Underneath, he writes a phone number. He turns the card around, so the numbers face out. Luis nods, once steady because training recommends neutral. His jaw tightens just enough that neighbor tables will later describe it as the most emotion they saw all night. Cole's copy gets a tip, too. It lands without flourish. 15%. A man of standards, he tells himself, in every mirror in any hotel. He places his card on the leather and leans back in the chair so it creaks, a sound that climbs the spine. Elena returns with the receipts. She thanks each of them with identical words, identical pitch. Thank you for dining with us. She looks at Arthur's face, then his hands, then meets his eyes. She signs, clumsy but legible. Thank you. He nods, asks, slower. Learn together? She nods back, quick. Yes. According to staff, on breakout by the service entrance, Luis stood for a full minute behind the bar, breathing into the darkness between the gin and the bitters. Then he exhaled and went right back to polish a set of forks. By 8:06 a.m., the still image has crossed town lines. Someone adds subtitles to Jay's video, close enough. Comments at first are simple. Beautiful, thank you, my dad signs too. Then the narratives move in. People bring their kitchens, their classrooms, their children's backpacks into the comment box. Strangers teach each other the sign for respect in short animated GIFs. At 9:22 a.m., a local newsletter posts, City server teaches a billionaire's dad to be heard. The headline is uneven. No one was taught ASL in a night, but the effect is immediate. The restaurant's phone line blinks like a slot machine. Elena puts it on night service to save her mind for lunch prep. An email arrives at 9:44 from an address with a discrete domain that suggests money learned to be shy in the 1990s, arthur@harringtonfamily.org. The subject, training plus thank you. The body is short. Thank you for seeing me. Let's train your team. My expense. See attached letter. The attachment is a scan of 2 pages in strong handwriting. It includes a sentence that becomes a message board signature for a couple of hours. Silence is not absence. It is another way of being present. At 10:30, an internal text chain kicks into its usual rattling speed. The owner. Who leaked? Elena. No one. Guests posted. Owner. We cannot alienate Cole. Elena. We listen to his father. The dots that mean typing appear, vanish, appear. The owner finally writes, arrange a statement. Keep it balanced. That last word carries a weight Elena recognizes as fear disguised as neutrality. At 1:12, a PR firm posts a note from Harrington Capital's official account. We value accessibility and inclusion. We regret any misunderstanding during a private family meal and are reviewing our internal practices. The word regret floats on the screen like a leaf on concrete. Under it, comments, hire interpreters. Ask your father what he wants. Listen. At 3 Talk, a disability rights advocate named Monique posts a thread. Accessibility is not charity, it's design, it's respect. Seeing staff step up matters. Tip accordingly, train staff, change culture. It's shared 5,000 times by nightfall. The restaurant smells different at 4 p.m., like lemon cleaner and hope trying to act like something else. Chairs half upended on tables, sunlight in a low slant across the banquettes. Luis stands near the host's stand, hands folded together so they won't invent something to do. Elena watches the elevator doors like a stage manager in the darkness. Arthur arrives in a blue shirt with rolled cuffs and a smile that doesn't waste itself. Beside him, an interpreter, late 20s, denim jacket, hair in a bun, name tag that says Nate printed in block letters. They all walk toward the center of the room as if the carpet will hold them tighter there. According to a staffer who set out water glasses, Arthur placed a small stack of brochures on the host stand. A community college, ASL, night course, a resource guide for employers. He signed to Elena, with Nate beside him doing the voice. Please don't hire a one-night interpreter for a photo. Learn. It's slower, but it's your hands. Elena nodded. We will, she said. And then, with a small smile, signed back. We will. The grammar was not pretty. The intent was the plate on which everything else arrived. Luis approached, his tie straight, his hands visible. Arthur signed, thank you. Luis signed, thank you. He added, sister. He wants to say more, but the sentence would become a story, and there is work to do. Nate's voice floated evenly through the room. We don't do this enough. Ask. Don't assume. The owner appeared from the office, took in the setup, placed his face into the expression he uses for donations. Mr. Harrington, he said to Arthur, thank you for your generosity. Arthur signed. Nate voiced. It's not generosity, it's fairness. You serve me, I serve back. He patted the table in a gesture that meant sit, the owner did. They planned. 2 training sessions this week, then ongoing. The low-sodium note will go bold on the ticket, and managers will be required to initial it, not to pass blame, but to place the responsibility where it belongs. A small card will join the host stand supply. We can provide written communication upon request. We can also call an interpreter. Tell us what you prefer. Elena holds the card like a passport. At the end, Arthur turned to Luis and signed, keep going. He pointed to his own chest, then outward. Listen to yourself. It isn't the words exactly. No one here claims a perfect translation. But the feeling fits into the room like a chair pulled out for an expected guest. In the doorway, unseen by most, Cole stopped for a breath. Witnesses say he didn't step in. He stayed where the carpet ended. He watched his father's hands. He watched Luis's hands. He watched the soundless language take up space that used to carry his voice alone. He lifted a phone, typed something, stopped, then tucked it away. His mouth moved around the word, sorry. No one will ever confirm if it left his lips. He raised one hand halfway, uncertain, and made a shape that was almost a sign, an apology in any language, even if the grammar was wrong. Then he turned and left without a word. According to the doorman downstairs, he stood under the gray of a building's shadow for a while before a car swallowed him and slid into the river of traffic. Days later, the city returns to its usual noise. Buses, laughter, the first brake squeal of evening. At table 12, a couple celebrates an engagement. At table 8, a teacher marks papers between courses. The restaurant holds multiple stories like hands can hold multiple thoughts. On the wall near the host's stand, a new photo lives in a simple frame. 4 hands, 2 younger, 2 older, mid-conversation, palms open, a pause between thoughts. Beneath it, a small card. We sign, we write, we listen. Not a slogan, an operational truth. The staff line up one afternoon for the first training. Nate sets down a ball of yarn to pass to each other as they sign their names and a sentence. I am here to learn. Elena's sign is hesitant. Luis's is steady. Marco's hands fumble and then find their place. Maria laughs when she signs bread and accidentally signs marriage. No one minds. Mistakes are welcomed like deliveries, expected, useful, corrected on arrival. Arthur watches, then steps back. He signs to Luis. I won't always be here. That's the point. Luis nods. He signs, we will be. Then he picks up a stack of menus with large print and sets them beside the everyday ones. He changes one small thing in the POS so the low-sodium flag flashes yellow as well as red. He does not announce each action. He lets the work speak. According to a note Arthur mailed a week later in pen thick as cello notes, I grew up learning that silence equals emptiness. I was wrong. Silence equals space. If you fill it with respect, it holds everything you need. He underlined the last sentence, then added, tell the young man at the restaurant that his hands reminded me of my own when I built the first factory, busy, careful, part of a plan bigger than any one order. The message on this channel reads simply beneath the final shot. A waiter got laughed at, then he spoke in silence, and an entire room learned to hear. This story is a work of fiction. All characters and events are imaginary. Like and subscribe for more stories that challenge prejudice and celebrate courage. Epilogue. Note. According to the restaurant's website a month later, a new line appears on the accessibility page. We offer ASL-friendly service upon request. We are learning. Thank you for your patience. Reviews mention less the food and more the staff's hands a few times. The halibut remains on the menu, now marked with a small symbol that means thoughtfulness can be plated.